diversify your income for your own good. And when I say for your own good, I'm not specifically talking about money or specifically talking about your income or specifically talking about just making more dollars for your own good. And when I say your good, again, I'm not talking about dollars. I'm not talking about your actual income. I'm talking about your life, your actual life. And the thing that came up to me about this is that when you are living a life where you depend on one thing that in its nature is inconsistent, you set yourself up for failure. Anything in this 3D world, anything on this earth, anything based on people and humans, right? Anything based on those parameters is going to be fleeting, inconsistent, and based on so many moving parts that do not operate the way we do. And there is not one human on the earth that is exactly the same way that we are. Now, we may have people who think the same way that we do or have the same opinions. You may really, really like the content that I put out because we think along the same lines about God and things of that nature. But when it really comes to having something that you can base your life off of, a human isn't it. It doesn't matter how much you agree with me. It doesn't matter how much you agree with your favorite content creator. It doesn't matter how much you see yourself in them. It doesn't matter because they are a human. And if you base your life and your income and your happiness and base anything onto those parameters, you're setting yourself up for failure. And what was amazing is the other day I was feeling so frustrated. The other day, maybe like 2 days ago, feeling so frustrated. No, I think it was more than 2 days ago, but not the point. I was feeling very, very frustrated about something. And so, I'm like about to blow up. Like, the thing about me is, like, in my head, it either goes in or out. And I think that's the same way for a lot of people, but I can't speak for other people because I'm not other people. But when you're feeling some sort of way, it only has two ways to go. It only has in, so keep it inside, or it has out and you put it out. And so what I decided to do is I was like, okay, at the end of the day, I'm not doing this thing that I'm doing for myself. I am not providing this thing for myself. I'm not trying to figure it out. I've already surrendered to the fact that I'm just a human and I really don't know much and I won't ever know much, right? Because I'm a human, just like everyone else. And so because I've already surrendered that and because I already know I'm not in control of anything, I was able to say, you know what? I don't even need to sit and stress about this thing, although it is indeed stressful. I don't actually need to sit and be upset by it because I can go do anything else because my Father is my provider. Father God, not earthly father. And I was like, Now, there's two parts to this, right? So I've already talked about the part where you really want to make sure that you are focusing on something that's not fleeting, which the only thing that's not fleeting is God, literally. But the other thing is that what do you do when things don't work out? You've already decided to believe in God, but what do you do when things don't work out? What do you do when life is throwing you, not even throwing things at you, it's literally throwing you, like it's throwing you against the wall, not throwing things at you, right? We're past that, right? We're at the point where you feel like you're being shaken, you feel like you're being punched, you feel like you're being abused. What do you do? And so if you can diversify your income and diversify who you are and diversify everything you do, because I use the word income in the title because income is what we're all living to do. There's not a person on this earth that hasn't thought about making money, who hasn't thought about making more money, who isn't currently at work or currently in a business or currently doing something for money. Everyone is doing something in regards to their finance. And so that's why I say that, but I really mean diversify your life. And so if you're able to be upset in one area that's going really, really bad and take that energy instead of keeping it inside, use this energy to go elsewhere, then you're great. And the problem for me is I would try to like put all that into God. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling so frustrated. Take it to God. God already knows what I'm going through. And so if you are talking to a friend or you're talking to someone who doesn't feel like, okay, let's say like you're 5 years old stressing about a chicken nugget that fell on the floor, and your mom is 35 worrying about bills. To her, your issue is minuscule. And you're not gonna get sympathy unless she really is like, okay, I'm just gonna give him sympathy. I'm gonna go hug him. I'm gonna go give him another chicken nugget. I'm gonna fix this. But unless she really takes the time to be sympathetic to you in that sense, you're not going to have sympathy from her because she's already mentally surpassed the idea that a chicken nugget falling on the floor is really not that big of a deal. It's probably happened 20,000 times by the time you're 30, right? Something that has happened so many times. So you've seen so many times. You've seen food fall 20,000 times. But as a child, you haven't had those experiences. So you really feel like it's super, super dire to you. And that's the same thing that I've been feeling when taking things to God that are so annoying and bothersome. Because God is like, I rule everything. You are simply a speck of dust in the timeline of the world and of time itself. And you're worried about getting $200 to pay your bills or $200 to go on a trip or trying to fix something. And there's, to me at least, there's not a level of sympathy when it comes to God. You can't take your tears to God and He's like, you're valid in the way that you're sad. What it is that, well, for me at least right now, is that when you go to Him, the issues aren't addressed. And so as a human, it can feel very invalidating that the one true source doesn't really validate how sad we are. He doesn't really validate the fact that we're sad or broke or poor or this or that. He's like, you're worried about that in the grand scheme of all the things I have planned for you. And I've already told you that I've already told you what I promised you. I've already told you what your life is going to look like. I've already told you to trust in me through your ebbs and your flows. I've already told you to trust in me through the valley and on the mountain and back in the valley and back and forth. I've already told you all of that. And so he's a comforting God. I do believe that. But as far as actual sympathy, as in like, I feel so bad for you. I feel so sorry for you. Like, I just, yes, like this really sucks. Like, I don't ever feel that. And maybe that's just because I had a different way of thinking and learning before I got more into what the Bible actually was, because the Bible is not about Christianity. It's literally a book about life. And so when you open up the Bible, I should start doing that. Every time I open up the Bible to like read my passage of the day, I should start recording kind of how it applies, because it literally is something you can open up every single day, go to a different page and just read it. It's not about religion. It's not to be read back to front and then front to back because it's supposed to be like that. I know people who've read the Bible back and forth and they still stress about everything in life. It's that like your solutions and your comfort and your happiness doesn't come from just reading the Bible, because you can read the Bible with a perspective of lack mentality, which is the opposite of God. God literally put Adam and Eve in a garden of abundance with gold, which is used to buy and buy things with, or to sell to have money, or et cetera, et cetera. putting them in a garden of abundance with so many fruits, plants, trees, etc., that literally bear seeds that bear more fruit. So literal multiplication is where they were put. So the literal standard of abundance, and they were also given the wealth of gold, even though they had no use for it. Like they were not going to say, okay, I'm gonna take some gold and go buy a cow, then go buy this and go buy that. Like everything was already there, right? So I believe that God already put us in a land of abundant and with optimal resources and all of that. But there is little to no sympathy when it actually comes to our main issues. That's like it's just, I mean, if you think about the same thing about a child, like the things your younger sibling or the things that kids care about, you're like, that doesn't even bother me, but to them it is a big issue. And so when you are looking to find that sympathy, like somewhere where you can push that emotion onto, and when you want to push your emotion onto it, you have to diversify what you're doing with your life. And so I don't ever want to see God as like the thing that I run to, or the source that I run to when life is bad. I just want that to be the norm. Happy, go to God. Sad, go to God. Disappointed, go to God. Go to the Bible. Go to the Holy Spirit. Like that's feed my spirit, feed my soul, nourish my body. Those are the things I want to run to. But as a human, me being 23 years old, for the past 20 years, I've been having hard times in life, and then I want to find somewhere to put them. And it's really hard now, being a full believer in Christ, that when something happens, there's not like something to go be mad at. Like there's no there's no way to put out that expression in a godly way, right? There's no way to be upset at someone and take that same upset to God and literally push out all the feelings of anger that you're having. It's more so, for me at least, again, like this is literally my own opinion, my own experience. It's more so really, really upset and mad at this person, and you go to God to renew your spirit, not to like validate the fact that you're mad. Like you're not going to go to God and he's going to be like, yeah, you should be mad. They did that too. And you should definitely get them back. And you should definitely talk about them. And you should definitely post on Facebook about it. And then you should definitely call your mom and your sister and your little sister and your big sister and then your brother and call your cousin and tell them all about it. And then curse that person out again. And then like, there's no validation for the human feelings that we have, because one, we're not supposed to be engaging with things that give us that. Like you shouldn't be engaging in arguments, you shouldn't be engaging in gossip, you shouldn't be engaging in things that are going to cause you to act that way, out of cause you to act out of faith, and cause you to act out of love, and cause you to act outside of the things that he calls you to do, and have you act outside of being gentle. But the way that you can use that energy, right? Because it's not the fact that because you can't be validated in that through God is wrong. It's more so it's two options. So if I'm upset, I get to go to God for my comfort. I get to go to re-strengthen myself. I get to go to feed my spirit. I get to go to do that. But it's also important that you have somewhere to put, or at least important to me, there's important that you have somewhere to put that anger. Because if you still have that anger, it's going to stay there. It's going to stay within you. It's going to stay in your mind, in your soul, in your heart. It's going to stay with you. And it's important to have something that can be used to translate those feelings. So it's not only I'm upset at my friend for doing this thing, let me go call on God. But that's why a lot of people go call on God, but then they go and they're like, they call on God, but then they still feel the need to go and curse, or still feel the need to go and be mad, still feel the need to go and curse that person out, or go feel the need to be upset and to lash out and things like that. Like, you have God in your life, but you still feel the need to put your negative emotions somewhere. It's human nature. And how we can do this in a really effective way is to have multiple diversifications of what we do with our life. So that's whatever you're doing for your income, 2 or 3, 4, 5, whatever side hustles in different ways that you can put that energy into. The people that you do love, the people that you are, having good relationships with, the platform of your life. And so when I say diversify, I mean make your life like a pie. So you will have a life that you live on a daily basis. And when something happens, there's pieces of this pie that you can go put that energy into. So you can put it into your finances. You can put that energy into your self-care. You can put it into here. You can put it into here. And so the one thing that kind of made this a reality for me, to kind of wrap this idea together for me, was that when I'm really upset about something, and like, it's not God's fault, like nothing is God's fault technically, but I think you know what I mean. Like, it's not something that can be fixed immediately. It's kind of just like you're in a hard grunt process, and you're just trying to muscle through, and you're just trying to get through the valley, and you're really upset about something. It's so good to have something else to focus on. So not only focusing on him, but also giving yourself a place to play, a place to place that human emotion that we can't really get rid of, the emotions that are inevitable. So the inevitable part is that we are going to be sad, mad, disappointed, but when we don't get the human validation of that through Christ, we have to go put it somewhere else. And so I put it back into parts of my life. So one thing that recently happened, again, like, I was super upset and kind of just like disappointed at something that was going on. And so I decided, you know what? I'm actually going to just, either it's going to stay inside or it's going to go outside. And I know that if I talk, speak, put it out, push it out somewhere, put it somewhere, everything will mellow out. And I'm left not with the feeling of anger, but I'm left with the comfort of God, because I'm upset and I'm going to God, and I'm also going to put my emotions somewhere. So now when my emotions are soft, all I have left is the comfort of God. And that is what I love, because that helps you to move on to the next thing. The pain, the anger does not help you. I think that that's a really terrible rhetoric to have, that, oh, I'm going to use all this, like, they said I would be nothing, and now I'm going to use that to be the new billionaire, and I'm going to do XYZ. Like, sure, cool, but you're going into something with the intention of using your anger to vengefully do something in return. And that vengefulness, that revenge, that idea of getting back at something instead of just moving forward, you're attacking your past, right? It's like, um my ex did something really, really bad to me, and so I'm gonna go and get a better partner. Like, you're getting a better partner, sure, but you're doing it in vain of your past partner. Why not just go to the next partner with an open heart, open mind, as a different person? See what I mean? So if you have a really bad experience with the relationships, as every single one of us on this earth has, every single one of us on this earth has either been hurt or hurt somebody. Every single person on this earth has either hurt somebody or been hurt by somebody. Point blank. And so if a lot more of us can take that anger, and instead of abusing future people or getting a new partner with, vengeance in mind, or going to get a new partner with the fact of, like, oh, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I know I'm a good person, so I'm going to go get another relationship to prove you wrong, to prove my ex wrong, right? All these things, if you can move forward with a positive mind without the emotions, that is where success lies. So I took these emotions and I put them into another income stream, and it made my most successful day this year. And that is what happens when you put your energy into something that doesn't necessarily validate your feelings and make you more mad, like if you were to gossip about it or talk about it or go on the internet and go make a story time, who did I marry? Who did I date? Who did I blah, blah, blah? That's really lack-minded to me, and I think that is a terrible waste of time. Instead of doing that, you take all those emotions and you put them into the things you're actually doing. You put them into school, you put them into work, you put them into the relationships that you currently have that you like. You put them into the things you're currently working towards. And that is what brings you more success, not living your life based off of being upset and mad over everything. And so for your own good, you must diversify. You must diversify where you can put your energy. You must diversify what you're doing with your life, because if one thing makes you upset and that one thing is the one thing you've been leaning on to make your life better, when you go to God, you're not going to be able to accept his comfort because you are so focused on this one thing going wrong. When you diversify, it actually makes it easier to continue to believe and trust in him, and it actually makes it easier to surrender, to continue surrendering to him.